match. And there's going to be a good clash there between Michael Mitchell and Alan Mulholland.
And of course,
all getting ready to start. A couple of big men in the middle there at the moment, Don. And it's David Johnson going to start the game. Bobby Malloy saying 3 men in the middle. Where's the Australian player? He's wondering about Steve Malaxos. There's Steve standing beside Bobby O'Malley. And then, of course, in there also is one man that'll be easy for us to figure out tonight, and that's Mark Grimley, because John, his twin brother, is not playing tonight. Getting ready to start for the third test match, and away they go. Up they go, and it's the Australians who break away quickly with the ball. That's Tony McGuinness over on the far side, and the ball running near that far side. And in goes Kevin Fagan and gives him a shoulder charge, allows the ball to run out over the line, and the big man from Dublin will take the kick himself. This is Kevin Fagan running back in the first minute of the third and final test match here at the WACA. The ball, a good mark down there by Tony McGuinness, and this man has got a very good left foot, as we've seen in the previous test matches. Tony with that left foot puts it into the middle. Up goes Terry Danaher. He can only knock it down, and there's a bit of a scramble going on in there, but it's Gavigan who comes away with it for Ireland, but he only puts it up to big Paul Salmon. Paul Salmon puts it in the middle. There's an Irish player on the ground already with an injury as the Australians scrambled to pick it up. Now they drew through Malaxis, and here's Hannah, and Hannah puts it high and puts it straight, and that's gone over for 3 points. So Australia start the action, Don.
Yes, and I think the Ireland player, is that Kevin Fagan, in the hands of the trainers there.
Yes,
we'll keep an eye on him. He got a bit of a heavy knock, and the play held up momentarily, but first score of the match going Australia's way, and that was 1 point.
1 point. That's Kevin Fagan, the 26-year-old from Dublin. He hasn't played in the previous 2 test matches, but he was brought in, Don, because Stephen O'Brien from Cork was injured in that second test match. But it seems that Kevin is up, even though Brendan Hackett is out there, and maybe they're calling on a substitute.
And Jack O'Shea is out on the ground.
Yes, Jack O'Shea has gone out there, but it looks as if Kevin isn't feeling too good, so they're going to take him off, give him a bit of a rest.
Well, now the ball is back in the centre of the ground, and a big mark taken here by Salmon. The mark is not paid, and the ball is kicked onto the Ireland half-forward line. And there's the magnificent ball skills of Ireland as the ball is kicked into the forward pocket. But good defensive play here by Campbell. And Campbell, the Australian goalkeeper, kicking the ball back to the centre wing. Coming in as Alan Mulholland. Great play, Mulholland. Tackled by Hannah. Kicked off the ground there by Paddy Barrett. Into the full forward zone. Opportunity here for Val Daly. Great piece of play by Daly, and it's 1 point to Ireland.
Yes, with fast opening skills by the two of them. Meanwhile, Kevin Fagan is off, and we see that Jack O'Shea has come on for the Dublin man. Ball back down into the middle. Here's a chance for Michael Mitchell. Mitchell races past the defender. He still bounces the ball, takes a shot in, and Pat Comer tries to push it away, hand it away, but it's gone for a behind, and that's another point for Australia. So Australia lead by 2 points to 1. Good clearance and a good mark taken over there by Martin Gavigan, the school teacher from Donegal. Is he going to take it left foot? He finds a man inside, and that man is Jack O'Shea, but Jack can't hold on to it. Jack is going to be tackled from behind. He's thrown to the ground. The ball is loose. The Irish pick it up through the number 10, fired it up into the Australian defence, but the Australian defenders come away with it. Tony McGuinness, the number 9, and Tony puts it onto his right foot, not his strongest one, down to Gavigan, and Mitchell tackling for it. It's big Paul Salmon, pushes it into the centre to Malaxis. Malaxis, a high kick down into the centre. Two of them going for it. It falls loose to the Irish captain, and he finds his player Jack O'Shea, and the Irish start to play it under control conditions out again to Gavigan. Over on the far side, a long clearance from Gavigan, and that runs away up to John Gastiff. And the man from Brisbane kicks it down into the centre, but a mark taken smack bang in the middle of the park by Pat O'Byrne, the big farmer from Wicklow. Long kick from him up to find Owen Liston, but he can't find Owen Liston. Danny Frawley playing a solid game at the back, Don.
Yes, Danny Frawley taking the mark there. The St Kilda player down to the centre wing. There's Terry Danaher taking the mark. A handball into the centre, looking for Malaxos, and his handball gets it across to Michael Mitchell. Mitchell to the half-forward line. Australia combining well here. Back to Mitchell. Mitchell on the half-forward line. Beautiful play. Getting around Jack O'Shea, and then getting his kick into the full forward zone. Gavin Brown, the Collingwood player. gets tackled, loses possession. A great game here. Back into the pocket. Terry Danaher, the Australian captain, but a great piece of defensive play by Comer. Takes the ball right on the line. Downfield it comes for Ireland. Paddy Barrett's in there trying to get it. And the ball is kicked off the ground here by Mark Grimley. It comes across to Mulholland. Mulholland now putting Ireland into attack. Good play by Gastev again. Gastev getting a handball going, and he gets it across to the running O'Donnell. Great skill by O'Donnell. Into Gavin Brown, and Gavin Brown doesn't let him down and takes a great mark right in front of goal. On the scoreboard, Australia 2 points, Ireland 1 point, and a crucial kick coming up for Gavin Brown, the star full forward for the Collingwood Football Club. Premiers, of course, in 1990 in the Australian Football League. Gavin Brown coming in, a picture of concentration, plenty of distance, but a poor kick.
Well, the umpire has put up the red flag, so that's a 3-pointer for Australia.
Well, it wasn't a bad kick after all.
It wasn't a bad kick after all. Ball back in the centre again. This is Tony McGuinness. McGuinness makes the mark over there, looking around to see if there was anyone running loose for him. No one running loose, so he decides to flank it into the middle. But where does he put it? Only into Big Jim Steins. And he's seen a lot of Steins over the last 12 months in Australian rules, because Big Jim Steins, born in Dublin, now plays with North Melbourne in the AFL. The ball battled for it out there as Barrett goes after a couple of the Australians. He loses out. The ball down into the centre, and back there goes Big Jim Steins again. He picks it up, hand passes it away from Mitchell, back inside again. This is good play by the Irish, and it's Pat O'Byrne comes away with it, or was it it was Tony Scullion. The man who cleared it was Tony Scullion and put the Irish back into the middle, but it's a big kick from Malaxas. Back in again to the centre, and there's another good mark again by Brown, and Bobby Malloy. Well, I think Bobby O'Malley looked at him.
Well, I think Robbie O'Malley should have been spoken to by the umpire there. I've seen incidents like that incur the wrath of the umpire in the other test matches, but Brown is okay.
Yes, well, we saw it in slow motion there, and it didn't look too bad when we saw it in replay. There's Brown's kick, and that's another good one. Well, it's not. It's only a 1-pointer, so it's a behind for the Australians. The kick out taken by Pat Comer, and he kicks a long one away down the park, where it's picked up by this man Paddy Barrett. He's tackled and thrown to the ground, but Paddy Collins, the referee, doesn't like it, and the man who pulled him down was Peter Dean, and I think Peter Dean is going to be spoken to by someone out there. And yes, the man who was doing a lot of talking was big Mark Grimley, and I certainly wouldn't want to tackle him, Don.
No, he's a big boy, isn't he? They're both big boys, the Grimley twins. But what a great game, what a great contest. Both teams playing with plenty of spirit. This is Mulholland coming in, and Millen Hanna, the player with no hair for the Australian team, tremendous player for Carlton, taking the ball over the line.
And the ball knocked out of Mulholland's hands, as the linesman says, so it's Millen Hanna to take the kick.
Well, Millen Hanna, he's one of the dashing players in the AFL. He's now at half-back, and that's a pretty good kick, a 40-metre kick to half-forward, and a good mark. No, yeah, Lowe is being paid the mark, getting up in front. Lowe is one of the renowned high-marking footballers in the Australian Football League, and the Australians looking for big things for him tonight. He's at half forward, and he's looking for Gavin Brown, and Danaher's there as well. Danaher, beautiful mark.
Great mark, good kick from the St Kilda man, but the ball is still on the ground. The mark not, maybe he said that they played on, and I think they did. Ball cleared out on this side. Mulholland sidesteps Stuart Lowe. Inside, he finds Jack O'Shea. Jack O'Shea up in front has got Mark Grimley running for him, but there's a late tackle by one of the Australians, and that's the number 14, and he's going to be spoken to by the referee, but he allows the game to continue as the ball went out over the sideline.
Free kick to Peter Dean then.
Yes, indeed. And the ball on the ground, and they're all tussling it, and Paddy Collins says, let's throw it up over there. And I see Ricky Jackson in the Australian side already, Don.
Yes, and I can't understand why that mark wasn't paid to Terry Danaher. He juggled it, but it was a clear mark, and he certainly didn't play on, and not a good decision there. Robbie O'Malley knocking the ball out towards Gavigan. The ball is picked up here by McGuinness. McGuinness gets a handball going across to Gastev into the Australian full forward line, knocked away from Gavin Brown, taken here by Salmon. Salmon threading a handball into Tony McGuinness. He gets met pretty hard by Gavigan, but a kick in towards goal for the Australians is taken here by the great goalkeeper for the Ireland team, from Comer, and Comer very cool in the crisis, gets the ball out to Robbie O'Malley, who's been a great player in the series for Ireland, gets it into the centre of the ground. It's taken here by Pat O'Byrne. Pat O'Byrne driving Ireland deep into attack. Steins has the ball knocked away from him, and Grimley's there as well. A kick off the ground by Bernard Flynn, and then a kick off the ground for Ireland, and it's 1 point.
Yes, indeed, that was good skill. Bernie Flynn pushing the ball along the ground, and big Grimley getting his right foot to it and scoring another point for Ireland. Kick out, as we said, it's a very fast and tough game. There's a foul by Alan Mulholland on Hannah, pushing him in the back, and the Australians win a quick free kick. Free kick taken by Hannah. This man that's very easy to distinguish, the Carlton 24-year-old, but his pace is, his kick is wasted, taken away by Alan Mulholland, the Galway man. Tries to find Des Barry up there from Longford, but the big Australian defenders come out, and they're going to clear their lines. They clear it through O'Donnell, finds Mitchell in the middle. Running back on is the number 15, and that's John Worsfold. Worsfold, a nice clearance and a good mark by Terry Danaher. As the score comes up, Australia 6, Ireland 2. They tussle for it in the air. Hannah makes the mark as he out jumps Barrett from Limerick. Hannah moving back. Now he can take it. He takes a drop kick, but it's half charged down. Stuart Lowe has it, puts it onto his left foot. A good pick and a good clearance. Well, it was nearly a mark by the Australians, but they push it back, and that's Ricky Jackson running around the corner, but he can't do anything with it as the Irish defence were coming in on him, and it's Culber who takes it away over to the far side of the field, and Ireland will take a free kick from there, Don. Things settling down quietly in the game so far.
Yes, it's been a pretty tough opening, and both sides testing each other out. But what a great contest. Australia in front. They're leading at the moment 8-2. And Ireland bringing the ball into attack. A big kick to the half-forward line. And there's that big man, Liston.
Big bomber Liston, and all the people in Kerry will be delighted at that mark by the bomber.
Isn't he a giant of a man?
Yes, indeed he is. One of the big men from Kerry. There's a great shot for him, but no problem to goalkeeper Campbell, and he takes it away out to the far side. He's got one loose man there, but poor old Michael Mitchell is having a lot of problems with 2 Irishmen, and he loses out to them. And there's a good pass to Bernie Flynn, the little man from Meath. There's a good shot right across the goal. And what does the umpire say? It's 1 point. So Ireland get back another score on the board.
Yes, in the first quarter, Colin, we move to the 12-minute mark. These are 20-minute quarters with time on, and halfway through quarter number 1. Now Campbell under pressure, and the ball is knocked through by Des Barry, and another point to Ireland. Yes, of course, indeed. You can score in this game, Colin, but you don't have to kick the ball through.
No, indeed, and Des Barry could have easily got his name into the record books of scoring a goal at the WACA. But the ball cleared out. He only got 1 point for Ireland. But this is Pat Byrne, the farmer from Wicklow. He puts the ball into the middle, the ball on the ground. They're tussling for it. Val Daly picks it up, and the referee says there was a little bit of holding or pushing in the back there, and the ball taken by Alan Mulholland, but he's running forward because Paddy Collins gives him an extra 15 metres. Someone must have said something. The ball out on this side of the field. Good kick by Val Daly, puts it in, but that's a good mark taken up there by the number 31 for Australia, and the ball cleared out of defence. Paul Salmon back in a half-back position, or maybe in a full-back position. This is McGuinness in the centre of the park, running it out to this side. A long run, a long chase for them. Tony Scullion, the first man to get there, but Scullion decides to leave it, run out over the sideline, and that'll be a free for Ireland.
Well, certainly the Australians playing with a lot more confidence tonight, and they're giving the Ireland players who have played so well in winning 2-0 so far a great game. This is Val Daly.
The man who certainly has a chance, Don, of winning the medal as the outstanding player of the tournament.
Yes, he's been a magnificent player. Now he kicks the ball in. Up goes the big fellow, Salmon. And Salmon threads a handball away to Gastev. Gastev can't kick it quickly enough or accurately enough, and it goes over the line. And that means the kick goes Ireland's way, to be taken by Martin Gavigan, one of the really strong and vigorous players in the Ireland team. And he's been a big factor too at Ireland's 2 wins downfield, and bad defensive play by Salmon to allow Steins to mark on his own in towards the pocket position. Ireland looking dangerous here, but the ball is punched away defensively for Australia up towards McGuinness, who's a very busy player in the first quarter. So is Gastev, and he gives it back to McGuinness. McGuinness on centre wing, transfers play for Australia to their half-forward line. Coming in as O'Malley. bad hand pass to O'Shea, but O'Shea's a battler, and he kicks it off the ground in the direction of Grimley. Coming in as Peter Dean, the hard man from the Carlton Football Club, and gets it across to the speedster from Melbourne, Ricky Jackson, across to the half-forward line, and the mark is taken here by Steve Malaxos. Malaxos, an opportunity to put the ball deep into the forward zone for the Australian team. I doubt whether he'd kick the distance from here.
No, it's a little bit too long for Steve, I would think, but he's going to have to go very close to it. Actually, he's gone over the line, so maybe he'll make it. Now they're watching it, and yes, he kicked it. A good kick from him, and that gives another point to Australia. Comer takes the quick out, and that comes out to Barrett. Barrett has Daly running inside, but he decides to dribble it himself. Now hand passes it up to Gavigan. They palm it on to Daly, and back to Martin Gavigan again. And the school teacher from Donegal fires it up, tries to find big Owen Liston, but there's no one back there except three Australians now as they take it out of the fence. John Gass out to the far side as the score comes up on your screen. Australia 7, Ireland 4 in this, the first quarter of the third and final test match here at the WACA in Perth in Australia. The ball cleared by the Irish, taken out of the back line by Tony Scullion. Out to this side, a great mark there by the man from Limerick, Paddy Barrett. And the man who works in a big cheese plant had the energy to get up for that one, Don.
Yes, he certainly did. He's at halfback and hesitates a little bit too long and allows the ball to be knocked away from Stynes because he was covered quickly there. And then the ball is put over the line by Ireland, and this means a kick to Australia. It'll be taken here by Ricky Jackson, the little rover for the Melbourne Football Club, but downfield, badly directed kick, and an easy mark to the Ireland captain, Robbie O'Malley, who's been such a great player for Ireland in the 2 test matches played so far. Into the centre of the ground, Daly, number 10, kicking it off the ground wide out to the midfield position. Coming in for the Ireland team and trying to keep the ball in play was big Pat O'Byrne, not able to do so, and his kick over the line gives Steve Malaxos the penalty kick, and he kicks it in towards the big man Salmon, but Salmon can't pull the mark in. Danaher into an open goal, and over the top it goes for 3 points.
Well, I thought Terry Danaher was actually going to score the first goal for Australia there. I think he could have, because he had only Pat Comer to beat, and I would think from that angle in that position he could have shot the ball down along the ground and it would have gone past Comer. But he's taken 3 points, as you can see in replay. He made himself available and took up a very good and clever position. Cold kick from Comer up onto the halfway line. Big Jim Stynes takes it. Big Jim Stynes kicks it long, kicks it away up the field, and that's taken out by the number 4 O'Donnell for Australia as the Australians start to settle down at the back again. Gary O'Donnell's clearance taken by Gavigan. Gavigan up to find Bomber, but he only puts it back into and there's a bit of a shenanigans going on. Liston didn't mean it. He was going for the ball, and a few words there from David Johnson as the
well, Danny Frawley didn't think that there was an accident. He came in to remonstrate with him, and the ball is out towards the centre wing. And McGuinness now putting it down to the Australian half-forward line. Ricky Jackson's there, number 8, can't get it. Picked up here for Australia by Malaxos. Malaxos into Terry Danaher, and Danaher, making position well, has taken the mark. He scored 3 points and over just a minute ago, and he's got an opportunity here, Colin. I would think he's normally a pretty good kick, Terry Danaher.
Yes, indeed, and one of the interesting things is that the Australians there seems to be a great deal of movement up front for the Australians. A great mark back there by the Irish, but they give the ball away, and it's put straight back and straight over the bar by Malaxos, and that gives Australia another 3 points. A lot of great movement in the forward line for the Australians. They're moving around a great deal, and it'll be interesting when we talk to Gerard Healy in a few moments' time to get his impression down on the line, because of course Gerard down on sideline has been involved, of course, in the game itself. There's the score: Australia 13, Ireland 4.
Almost quarter time. And now the ball is back into the centre of the ground. We'll be going to Gerard Healy in a moment, but a good mark in the meantime to Stuart Lowe. Lowe, the St Kilda footballer, kicking it high into the air. Terry Danaher getting plenty of attention down there from the big fellow, that was Pat O'Byrne, and I think he's going to get the free kick for a pull around the neck.
Well, he's given the free kick to Terry Danaher, even though the Irish appeal that maybe they should have been awarded a free out. Is Terry Danaher for Australia. Long kick and a curling one, and that's gone for behind, and that's 1 point. So Australia put another point on the score. But Donna, as you're saying, there is a lot of movement around the park, especially in the forward line for the Australians.
Well, they're playing better in attack now, Colin. They seem to have come to grips a little bit with the way the Irish play in their forward line structure, and that's proving good for the Australians. They've gone to a good 10-point lead. It's almost quarter time here, 20 minutes almost up. And there's a big kick-off again by the Ireland goalkeeper, Coma. Getting up high was Michael Mitchell. A good play as the ball is kicked forward by big Pat O'Byrne. O'Byrne in towards the forward pocket. Opportunity over there for Bernard Flynn. The ball is knocked away from him, and Australia clear the ball back to the outer side. Taken over there by Frawley. Down to Terry Danaher. I think he's been given too much latitude, Colin. Someone's going to need to pick him up for Ireland. In towards Scullion, who knocks the ball away from Gavin Brown, the Collingwood player. Good play here by Grimley. Big Grimley. Good, cool play. And Ireland bring the ball back down towards half-back. Gavigan, he's a tough player. He just bounced off Tony McGuinness. Kicked off the ground by Jack O'Shea. In towards Lowe. Gets a handball to Peter Dean. Dean to Tony McGuinness, who's in just about every forward move for Australia. And the Australians come into attack again. There's Big Salmon. Knocks the ball back looking for Hannah, but anticipating better is Robbie O'Malley, the Ireland captain. A handball across to Grimley, and Grimley will clear the ball for Ireland back into the centre of the ground. Coming out strongly, Smith of Australia gets it across here to Anderson. Gavigan in there hard. He gets bumped out of the road. Here's big Jimmy Steins. Steins out to the centre wing. Ireland coming into attack. O'Shea's there, but the ball is kicked away by Gastev. Gee, it's a good game. Picked up by Steins again. Almost quarter time to the Ireland half-forward line, and that's Gastev keeping the ball in play for Australia. O'Donnell's there, so is Ross Smith, and he handballs it to the running Danny Frawley, and Frawley from centre wing swings the ball back to the Australian half-forward line, but there's O'Malley again.
And O'Malley clears it for Ireland. Yes, indeed, Don. It's action all the way. You don't get a minute to breathe here in the game as the Irish break, and that's Kevin O'Brien on. And the sharpshooter is on from Wicklow, and the whistle goes, and that's the end of the first quarter, just as the Irish sharpshooter was just about getting ready, I would think, to try and plant that ball over the bar. So we reached the end of the first quarter, and I must say, Don, that the Australians have impressed me in this game. They've started to sneak away, and they lead by 14 points to 4 at the moment. So an impressive start for the Australians.
Yes, they're playing extremely well. As I've mentioned a couple of times, Colin, they seem to have come to grips with the use of the round ball better. Their forward line is functioning much better. And Terry Danaher, who is playing a magnificent game. And it's quarter time here, as Colin said, and Australia have a very good lead of 10 points at quarter time. And in a moment, we'll be going down to Gerard Healy.
Ireland by 14 points to 4, and to get his impressions of that first quarter, let's go down to the sideline and join Gerard Healy.
Thanks, Colin. Well, it was great to see the Australians burst onto the scene, showing all the intensity that we've come to expect from these series over the last decade or so. The plan of using salmon on the ball has been exceptional, and the tackling, the ferocity of the Australians has really made the Irish take a backward step. I spoke to Eugene McGee at the hotel today, and he was very worried about that the Australians would come out and use a little bit of biffo, and at one stage there, halfway through the game, it looked like it was going to explode. It's settled down somewhat, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Irish come back. They're kicking to the scoring end, come back with similar tactics, and I think we're in for a very, very interesting second quarter. Don.
Thanks very much, Gerard. What's it like down on centre field? You're close to the action. Is it pretty tough down there?
Well, it's pretty close tactics down here. The tackling is far greater, but what is more visible than anything else is the ferocity, is the faces of the Australians. They really here, they want to win this game, and it's far more visible in their faces than the Irish boys. I was in the Irish hotel today, and they seem to be taking it a little bit easy, and whether that's going to count against them in the final analysis, we'll wait and see.
Okay, Gerard, thank you very much. You can, in the meantime, do a little job for me and find out how Kevin Fagan is down on the bench, and see how he is after the recovery from, or has he recovered from that early knock he took. Any news on that at the moment, Gerard?
Not so far, Colin, but I'll mosey on down to their camp and see if I can invade and get a report.
Okay, thank you very much. Ready for action, and you can see a few scars out there on someone's hand. And as Don said, it's pretty tough out there. There's Paddy Collins, the referee from County Meath, ready to start the second quarter. And Jack O'Shea moving into a centre position, but it's big Paul Salmon gets the ball but then loses it out, and this is Malaxos. Malaxos out to this side to John Gastev, the man from Brisbane. Long right-footed kick from John Gastev, trying to set up something again for the Australians. The ball out over the line, and that's going to be a sideline free for the Australians, taken by Michael Mitchell. Mitchell kicks it low, hard, and he finds the man Paul Lowe, wearing the number 32 for Australia. And he's going to have a long shot from here. And Stuart Lowe from St Kilda, he's a man of 6'3". There he is. He could easily score from there and add another couple of points to the Australian score. He does, and that's a good kick from him. Which side of the upright has that gone? It's gone the right side for Australia. The red flag is raised. Another 3 points, and that's 17 points to 4 as the ball comes back into the action. Jack O'Shea, I haven't seen Jacko do that too often, drop a ball as the free kick goes the Australian way. Tony McGuinness onto his left foot, high up into the night sky here in Western Australia. The ball being battled for by Millen Hanna and the Irish defenders, and they take it away. Ball out over the sideline, and it's going to be another free to the Australians, Don, and they seem to start to dominate again in this, the start of the second quarter.
Well, they're playing very determined football, and they really have to do this, Colin. When you're 2-0 down, you really have to come out and play like your life depended on it, and that's the way the Australians are playing tonight. They want to finish this series on a high note, and they want to win this one. And there's the kick by Millen Hanna, but not a well-directed kick, and an easy mark taken by the famous Jack O'Shea, who's been a wonderful player in the first 2 test matches for Ireland. What a player, in towards the centre of the ground, and he always delivers the ball well, and he did so on that occasion. And the ball is kicked wide now by Mulholland, the player who took that mark, out towards the Ireland half-forward position, but over the line, and the kick is going Australia's way on the defensive line on the outer side. It's going to be taken here by Ross Smith early in the second quarter, and Australia 17 leading Ireland 4. The ball back at centre field comes to Malaxos, kicked away from him defensively by Paul Curran. The ball out to the centre wing, but Ireland bringing it back onto their half-forward line. Getting up high was Danaher. The ball is punched clear for Ireland into the centre. It comes back, a bad handball by Ireland, and it goes to John Gastev. He says thank you, gets it across to Mitchell, who can't keep it in play, and the free kick will go Ireland's way, to be taken here by Big Grimley. There are 2 Grimleys in the Ireland squad, Colin.
Yes, this is Mark. We can easily recognise him tonight, Don. It wasn't so. It's not so confusing for us as it was in Melbourne and in the other games when you had the 2 of them. John Grimley has an injury, so it's Mark is playing. Also, the Irish manager Eugene McGee has started to ring the changes a little bit. Mark Plunkett from Offaly is on as the Australians go away into the attack again, but Spike Fagan comes back, clears the ball down into the centre. The Irish start to attack again. Pat O'Byrne, a long click down this side where Jack O'Shea is running onto it with Gary O'Donnell, and I think Jacko may have headed that ball, or it hit him on the head, and that's going to be a free to the Irish side. Mark Plunkett is on, the 21-year-old man from Offaly. He's into the Irish side, and also is Paul Kern from Dublin, and it's going to be a free to Australia, or is it? No, it's going to be a free to the Irish, because the umpire down there has informed Paddy Collins, the referee, that it went out off an Australian over his own line. So Jack O'Shea is going to take this kick, and he's been confronted there by Ross Smith, the number 14, but that's a long kick by Jacko into the goal area. The ball loose. Campbell dropped that ball, and he was very lucky to get away with it, because there was 3 Irishmen sneaking in there, and any one of them could have got a foot to it, and that could have gone easily into the back of the net. But it's McGuinness takes it away for Australia. Up on the far side, Dave Cusselver taken down by the Irish captain, but he's grounded. 2 Australians are now arguing and fighting for it, but it's Hanna takes it away up over the halfway line as Malloy comes back at him. That's a long kick away up, and there's a great mark up in the centre, but the referee over there, or the umpire David Johnson, has penalised Big Stuart Lowe for a foul on the Irish defender, and the ball has been given back to the Irish defenders to clear. Clearance out to the little man from Meath, or is that Paul Curran? Curran and Bernie Daly look very alike, but it's Paul Curran. Drop kicks it down, tries to find a couple of the people, and here's Val Daly moving in on the Australian goal. It's loose. Here's Kevin O'Brien, puts it across, and there's a man from Meath, and that's very, very good save by Campbell. He made one in the first game, and that was a very good save, because Bernie Flynn stuck his right foot to that gun, and it could easily have gone into the goal for 6 points.
Yes, it could have, and that's the first 3-pointer for the Ireland team. And, gee, they look dangerous there, but good play by Campbell. And there's a drop kick by Campbell, swinging play in towards Jack O'Shea in the centre. The ball knocked away from him, and it rebounds back to Gavigan. Gavigan putting pressure on the Australian defence, but it's handballed away defensively up to Danny Frawley. Frawley at half-back for Australia, down towards Danaher, up as Steins, not able to pull the mark in. There's Robbie O'Malley anticipating well and delivering the ball beautifully to Jack O'Shea, number 20 for Ireland, down to half forward, and it's coming back to Jack O'Shea. He runs through two Australians, great play, and then he runs into Danny Frawley and loses possession, picked up by Peter Dean, a good defender, a handball to Malaxos, and he gets it across to Salmon, and Salmon now bringing the ball onto the Australian half-forward line. Steins, number 25, is there. The ball back to the centre, and Salmon, the big, tall man, takes the mark in the centre. What a game. Pretty tough encounter here. 6 minutes gone in the second quarter. And on the scoreboard, a 10-point lead to Australia, 17-7, and a bounce-up Colin in the centre.
Yes, indeed. Alan Mulholland at 5'10", trying to take on big Paul Salmon at 6 foot whatever, 6'9". It didn't look too good. It looked like Jack and the Beanstalk out there. But Australia have possession. This is Steve Malaxos, the local man from the West Coast Eagles. Fires the ball right-footed into the Irish defence, but it's taken up there by Spike Fagan, the man who works for his own company with his 3 brothers selling office equipment around the Midlands of Ireland. He clears it out to this side of the park. Paul Curran, a long ball down this side, and going out for it is Kevin O'Brien. He keeps it in play. He's got Mark Plunkett inside of the man from Offaly, heading down towards the Australian goal, and a good right-footed shot, and waved the red flag there. A great score by the Irish, and that's a good score for Mark Plunkett, the young man who has just come into the Irish side. The man from Offaly, 21 years of age, stands at 6 foot tall, up into the middle to a man who's a lot taller, Paul Salmon, knocks it down. And this is Steve Malaxos again. Malaxos feeding well off of Paul Salmon's, knocks down the ball up into the defence, the Irish defence, and running back there is Mark Grimley, and he's going to take the kick out for the Irish. Don.
Let's go down to Gerard Healy now and get an update on Kevin Fagan. Gerard?
Yes, I've just spoken to the Irish club doctor, and he thinks that the player Kevin Fagan has concussion and a suspected broken nose, and he'll take no further part in this game.
Thank you, Gerard Healy, down on centre field. One of the great players in Australian football, Gerard Healy, has just recently announced his retirement as the ball is picked up here for the Australian team by Smith, and Smith gets it down towards Gastair, but good play, brilliant play by Michael Fegan, and he gets it in towards the forward pocket. Here's an opportunity. Bernard Flynn will score. Gee, he's a dangerous player. And bad defensive play, Colin, by the Australians to leave him unattended.
Yes, you cannot leave little Bernie Flynn from County Meath alone, because he and Kevin O'Brien, as I said earlier on, the two of them are real sharpshooters around the goal area, and Australia paid for it there. Ball back again. This is the number 10, Val Daly. Daly runs, kicks it right-footed down, finds Jack O'Shea. Jacko now playing in a half-forward position as in Gaelic football, but Jacko could easily put it over there for another 3 points for Ireland. You can see Jack, he will run around the corner, so to speak, and kicks it right-footed. A good long clearance from Jacko, and that goes for a 1-pointer for Ireland. So in the space of about 30 seconds, Ireland get 4 points back, Don. The scoreboard hasn't changed a fair bit. It's 17 points to 13 at the moment, I think.
17, I think it's to 14 now. Gee, they've come back well. A 3-point advantage to Australia as Ireland fight back. We move to the 9-minute point in the second quarter, and the crowd here warming to this big game as Millen Hanna, the bald-headed Carlton player, takes the mark out on the centre wing. He's a dashing player, Hanna, has played well in the previous test matches, and puts the ball down to the Australian half-forward line. Gastep was the target, but it's picked up here and kicked in by Malaxos, and he kicks it right out of bounds, and the kick will go Ireland's way.
Don, that is very strange. You know, the game has gone nearly into the half-time period, and that's the first wide I think we've had from anyone taking a shot at goal. So it just shows you how accurate the players have been all evening.
Yes, their skill levels have been very good. Now the ball is out to Malaxos on the Australian half-forward line, taken here by McGuinness, one of Australia's best players, into the goal area. But there's that man again, Pat Comer, the reliable goalkeeper for the Ireland team. Very rarely makes a mistake, and he has time to steady and kick the ball back for Ireland into the centre. Opportunity here for Val Daly. Here's danger, bouncing the ball once. Left foot kick by Daly into the running Kevin O'Brien, number 17. The ball is over the line. And on the scoreboard, a 3-point lead to Australia, 17-14, as we wait for the ball to be put back into play again by Campbell.
Yes, indeed, and it's interesting to note, Don, that of course it was the second quarter that Ireland came back and took over a commanding lead in the game at Canberra and sort of ran away with the Australians. In tonight's game, they've had to fight back from 14-4 down. The score now, Australia 17, Ireland 14, 3 points in it, as Jim Steins collects the ball for Ireland, sends it out to Val Daly. He's got Jacko calling for the ball on the far side. Daly sends it high. Campbell comes out. Jacko tries to get a punch at it, but it's the big man, Campbell, in the goal for Australia, who punches it away and punches it out over the sideline. A free to Ireland over on the far side. Bernie Flynn wearing the number 11. The little man from Meath has had a great tour for Ireland, kicking it from that side, puts it right across the goal. Oh, but that's a bad one, Bernie. Your family and friends down at the public house in County Laois won't be too happy with that one. And that one went wide. That was a good scoring opportunity for Ireland. Matthew Campbell, the big man in the goal for Australia, going to clear it right from his line.
We're going down to Colin. We're going down to Gerard Healy now, centre field. Gerard, what's happening down there?
Well, it looks the Irish boys are just going into a dangerous attack at the moment, but what's clear at the moment is that they have no answer to the big fellows in the middle for Australia. Paul Salmon and Stewie Lowe have really created some problems and have really dominated the match, with Jim Steins not as dominant as he was last week.
Thank you, Gerard Healy, down on centre field. Very close game here. Australia leading by 3 points, 17-14. The ball is on the half-forward line here. Kicked off the ground, out to the centre wing. That was Curran, not able to do anything with it. The ball comes back to Jack O'Shea, number 20. He's tackled hard. The ball on the ground, furious game. Peter Dean, the defender for Australia, gets a long handball across here to Malaxos. Malaxos gives a handball away, not a good one. And the ball is kicked away back in towards the centre of the ground. Coming out again is big Stuart Lowe, wearing the gloves tonight, into the forward zone, and the mark is taken by the big man from County Armagh. That's one of the Grimleys. Which one is that?
That's Mark Grimley, Don. Definitely Mark Grimley, wearing the number 14, Paul Salmon, with his hands up in front of him. Interesting what Gerard was saying about the big men in the centre of the field for the Australians. They've now put Stuart Lowe and Salmon and Danaher back there. But what Ireland will try and do, Gerard, if you're listening to us on sideline, they will try and get away from them and put the ball over the centre of the field and put it from half back to half forward. Here's Jack O'Shea racing in on goal. Jack over his shot. Oh, and he was so unlucky. It just went over the bar. It could have gone into the back of the net. What a great run from Jack O'Shea. The defence are 6s and 7s for Australia, allowing Jack so much room. Here he is. Gets it onto his right foot, and it just hit the top of the crossbar and went over. It could easily have gone in for 6 points.
Well, now the scores are level here after that great piece of play by the great Jack O'Shea. This is an exciting player. Jimmy Steins knocking the ball down. The ball is taken here by Michael Mitchell. Mitchell in the centre. The Ireland fans coming alive, cheering their team on. Out to the Ireland defensive line. Picked up here by Scullion. Scullion getting it across to Grimley. Grimley handballing it back to the big man on the half-back line, Pat O'Byrne. O'Byrne of Ireland. Out to the centre wing. Gavin Brown is there for Australia. Knocks the ball down. Australia fiddling around a little. Ireland bringing it deep into attack again. But Campbell is there, strong on the last line of defence. And at the 13-minute mark of the second quarter, the Australians bringing the ball off the last line of defence out to the centre wing, and a pretty heavy knock from Jimmy Steins on Gavin Brown, and the ball is kicked off the ground by Flynn, picked up here in the pocket by Kevin O'Brien. O'Brien in towards the full forward zone, and it's another point to Ireland, and they take the lead. They lead by 1 point, and Gavin Brown, a pretty heavy knock, a pretty sick boy at the moment.
Yes, indeed, he ran into a very, very heavy tackle over there, Don, and as you can see, some of the training people and the coaches out there with him, but he seems to be okay. But as I said, this is what the Irish are going to try and do. They're going to try and bypass the midfield where they're being outplayed and outjumped. Again, as you can see, big Paul Salmon going up for it over there. But the Irish forwards are going to be very nippy, and they'll play it on the ground, as we saw Bernie Flynn do with Kevin O'Brien. And when the two of them team up, they will start playing soccer along the ground, which will get them bypassing the Australians, being able to body past them as well as taking the ball past them. This is Bobby O'Malley, the Irish captain, kicking it down the far side of the field, where down there is Mark Plunkett, but it's taken away by Gary O'Donnell for Australia. He to Michael Mitchell. Mitchell up, but that's a good mark in the centre by Jim Stein. Stuart Lowe doesn't like the attention of one of the Irishmen. In the meantime, the ball goes into the centre, and that's taken down by Peter Dean, and Peter Dean puts it right-footed over the far side to the left-footed of Tony McGuinness. McGuinness up onto the halfway line, but it's taken down by Alan Mulholland. Mulholland to Jack O'Shea. Jack O'Shea to Big Jim Steins. There's 3 or 4 Irishmen there, and they leave it, and it's eventually McGuinness who gets it. Malaxos pushes it forward, and they're diving. They're in all sorts of trouble over there. Brian Burke takes the back out of Tony McGuinness as Hannah races away with the ball. Hannah's jersey is being pulled by Martin Gavigan, and referee or umpire Johnson is pointing to the other direction and saying that it's a free to Ireland.
Holding the ball decision there. Hannah didn't get rid of the ball quickly enough when he was tackled. It was a very good tackle. And now the ball is back. On the other side, number 9 running in is Curran. Curran for the Ireland team, knocking it onto Jack O'Shea. And Jack O'Shea has to give the ball back because the kick is going Australia's way out on the centre wing. This is Ross Smith, who plays for the North Melbourne team. Onto the half-forward line, but Axel's coming off as the ball is taken here by Anderson, who just came on to Terry Danaher, the Australian captain, but he only kicks a point.
Yes, indeed. Malaxos is off for the Australian side. We saw that movement on the sideline.
What's happening here? Bit of a discussion in front of the Australian goal. A free kick, Colin.
The Irish don't like that one. Bobby O'Malley questioning David Johnson about it, but he's pointing to the mark. Michael Fagan, Spike Fagan, standing there, the man from Mullingar, next to umpire Johnson, and he's getting a ball back, and the ball is going to go back. They seem to be pretty smiling about it, pretty happy about it. I don't think the Irish are too happy about it. They want to know what it's all about. Terry Danaher, the 33-year-old captain of Australia from Essendon, going to take this one. Can Terry make it 3 points? He kicks, and he does, and that puts Australia 2 points in front, 20 points to 18. And there's Pat Comer. Here's Terry Danaher's kick, very sure, very solid, and straight between the 2 uprights. Ball down in the centre as Ireland attack through Barry. Barry with a long shot into the goal, taken by Campbell. Let's go to the sideline and join Gerard Healy.
Thanks, Colin. I've got Steve Malaxos here, who's run himself ragged in the first half. Steve, what's been the difference between the Australia's performance today and that of the last 2 weeks?
I think we're just a bit more enthusiastic and a bit more switched on to the game.
You seem to be supporting, tackling and shepherding for each other. Has Parkin emphasised that during the week?
Yes, he has, and I think the players just sort of feel as though we're come together as a team a bit more over the last week, and I think it's showing in our play.
Yeah, certainly doing a hell of a lot better. Steve Malaxos, captain of the Eagles and representing Australia tonight.
Comments there from Gerard Healy down on centre field. Gerard Healy recently announced his retirement from the Sydney Swans. Brownlow medal winner for the Sydney Swans a couple of years ago as Ireland bring the ball back into attack, and picked up here by Kevin O'Brien, a danger player. Jack O'Shea, number 20, is there. The ball is taken here in defence for the Australian team and knocked away by Johnny Worsfold, and he gets it up to his teammate in Michael Mitchell, and Mitchell beautifully controlling the ball. Magnificent play across to Frawley, back to Mitchell. Look at him go in the centre of the ground. Terry Danaher, the Australian captain, a series of handballs. Great play. It's taken here by Anderson. Back to Mitchell. He's everywhere. Mitchell into the full forward zone, but great defensive play, and Ireland stemmed that attack. And the ball is taken here by Scullion, and he gets it back. What a beautiful passage of play by the Australian team, but Ireland steady in the crisis.
Yes, and we had a good shot there of Pat O'Byrne's jersey. At least it looked as if he had only half of the jersey left, but that was brilliant play by the Richmond player Mark Mitchell, and the combination between the Australians has been very, very interesting. But there's Pat O'Byrne's jersey hanging off, and meanwhile Paddy Collins is in there having a word with Danny Frawley. He has stopped play at the moment in the centre of the field, and he's actually taking Danny Frawley's name because, as you can see, the strength certainly wasn't in the washing, Don, was it, with Pat O'Byrne from County Wicklow, the big farmer from Ockram's jersey. Doesn't look too good at the moment.
No, he's certainly in the wars out there. The 19-minute mark now coming up. Paul Salmon coming off the ground. We'll get a comment from Gerard Healy in a moment, and going on is Brett Stevens. Gerard Healy, a change on the Australian bench. David Parkin ringing the changes down there.
Just had Brett Stevens come on for the big Paul Salmon. He's come off. He's been used in the centre of the ground unlike last week where he was less mobile up in the forward line. It's paying dividends for Australia.
Almost half-time here now. Very close game, and 2 points the difference. Australia in front. Here's Dean Anderson, who figured in a forward move just a moment ago, and he brings the ball downfield, tried to do a little bit too much, but cleverly he gets it across to the Australian captain Danaher, and Danaher into the running Millen Hanna. Hanna gets possession, half forward, he's got nowhere to go, and now he gets a kick, and he puts the ball in towards the full forward zone. But there's that Scullion again, and he's played magnificently, Tony Scullion, Colin, on that last line of defence.
Yes, indeed. Tony has had an outstanding tour in the 2 games so far, and now in tonight's one again. Tony Scullion has been a real stalwart in the Irish defence, the 28-year-old from Derry. Meanwhile, Jack O'Shea breaks away, gives the ball back, but unfortunately he was trying to give it back to O'Brien, and Kevin O'Brien was shoulder charged out of it. But a lot of heavy tackling going on down here. Brian Burke from Tipperary gets it, hand passes it, tries to find the man from Longford, Des Berry, but it's taken away by the Australians. Out to their number 11, and that's over on the far side as they run away with it. Dean Anderson into the middle. He finds John Gastiff from Brisbane, but Gastiff is floored by Michael Spike Fagan. The ball on the ground, they're tussling for it over there. The Australians come away with it over to this side to Brett Smith, and he's going to take a right-footed clearance up to this side, and the 2 players tussle and fall over each other. There's 2 more. That's Brett Stevens going for it with Mark Grimley, and the ball knocked out over the sideline. Jack O'Shea and Terry Danaher don't like each other right at the moment. The ball from Danaher inside to John Gastiff, the man from Brisbane. Right-footed kick for Australia, puts them into the attack again. Up goes big Mark Grimley, and that was a good catch from him. He didn't catch it cleanly. He was grabbed around the neck in the meantime, but the ball is clear. Down onto the halfway line. The Irish, through Brian Burke, pick it up. Burke back inside to Steins. Steins into Paul Curran. Curran has a man available on this side, running into the clear, and that's Pat Byrne. Pat Byrne punches it forward, but there's no one there. And we're into injury time in this, the first half of the 3rd test, the QBE Insurance test match here in Perth, as the ball and the Irish start to attack again. But the ball is down to the Australian defenders, and Danny Crawley takes it away for the Australians, pushes it to John Gastiff. Gastiff inside, and running away across the park is the number 8, Ricky Jackson, but Jackson's kick is marked in the centre by Brian Burke from Tipperary, and there goes the hooter as Burke kicks the ball long into the Australian goal, and the hooter for half-time. And Don, we've had a very, very interesting first half in this game here in Perth.
What a fantastic game. Australia 20 and Ireland 18, and at half-time it has been a fantastic game. It's anybody's match.
And the teams leaving the ground at half-time with the score here in Perth, Australia 20, Ireland 18, and that's where we take a break.
Yes, back here in the main commentary position, the score at half-time, a 2-point lead to Australia, 20-18, and Ireland came back brilliantly, Colin, in that second quarter. But gee, it's been a tremendous match, and Australia certainly playing with much more verve and much more commitment and much more enthusiasm than they have in the previous 2 matches. And I guess it's anybody's game at half-time.
I think it is, Don, and one of the things that's very noticeable from the first 2 test matches is, of course, that the Australians have dominated in midfield. They've won an awful lot of ball here. They have Paul Salmon in there, and they've brought Lowe back, and they've been knocking the ball down, and Michael Mitchell has been there to pick up the pieces, and so has Tony McGuinness. But let's go down to the sideline, and Gerard Healy, and Gerard will be talking to some of the people who've been more closer to the action than you and I, Don.
Kevin Sheehan, it is the manager of the Australian team, and let's go to Kevin now and Gerard Healy.
Thanks, Don. I've got Kevin Sheehan here. He's the development officer for the AFL, and someone who's been closely involved in the development of this series. Kevin, you'd be far happier with the way the game's been from an Australian point of view tonight.
Yes, Gerard, I think there's no doubt that the lack of wind is a great factor. I think last week in Canberra we were caught out. We couldn't kick well enough in extremely windy conditions, but the still conditions of tonight have made it easier for our guys to use the ball well. the commitment's been great. I think the tackling and the pressure that we've put on the Irish has been far better than the previous 2 tests. And we're quite pleased with the movement of the ball too. The guys are running in their numbers and creating plenty of opportunities for our forwards. So it's been a pretty fair first half to be a couple of points up at this stage. And I think the guys are really keen to go on with the job and try and chalk up their first win of the series.
The use of Salmon and Stuart Lowe interchanging on the centre appears to be a far better combination than having them centre-half forward and full forward.
Yes, well, Jimmy Steins, of course, has been a thorn in our side for the first 2 tests, and the strategy was to work both Stewie Lowe and Paul Salmon on Jimmy, and hopefully by the end of the night they'll wear him down. They're both being pretty fair contributors in the first half, and although Jimmy's done reasonably well, we hope that we can wear him down by the end of the game.
How do you see this series as important for the development of our code itself, the Australian Football League code?
Yes, well, I think there are a couple of factors. One is the keenness of our players to play, and I think, Gerard, that's the thing that's impressed me the most. I was involved in 87 and again this year, and all our best players want to play for their country. It's most important to them that they get that opportunity, and we're very keen to give them that. I think that there's a fair bit of work to do on selling the game, this particular brand of football, to our football public here in Australia. The Irish absolutely love it, and they turn up in their numbers, but we need more support from the Australian football followers. And I think if they get close enough to the game, have a look at it closely, it is a magnificent match. And I just urge them when the series returns to Australia, we hope at some time in the future that they'll support it far better.
There's been a lot of talk through the week about the use of our ball as compared to the round ball. Do you see that as an option in the future?
Oh, look, I think that that would be a long, long way off, Gerard. Just with the skill that our fellas have with our oval ball, I think it really would be a very big win to the Aussies. It's a bit easier for our guys to convert to the round than it would be for them to convert to the oval, and I don't think that was ever an option.
They've discussed the use of a third man rule here to curb the nasty incidents, the fighting. How do you see that's worked, and could you just explain that rule for the public?
Yeah, I think it's been an excellent innovation. In fact, both coaches agreed prior to the series to ensure that we didn't have any ugly mellies or all-in brawls or whatever that have marred previous series, that if 2 fellows are having an altercation, the third person that comes in and touches an opponent would be ordered from the field, and so it just leaves it between the 2. If 2 people get upset and they do in a body contact game, you just let them sort it out, and the third person in would be sent from the field, even if he just makes body contact, touches the opposing player. He can go in and pull his own player out of the way, though.
We've had Kevin Sheehan, development manager for the AFL, talking to us down here on the ground, and he's a pretty confident character, Kevin, and he's sure that the Australian side can go on with the job in the second half. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Gerard, and Kevin down there at half-time. Well, we've everything to play for in the second half, as Don and I have been telling you about. Australia lead by 20 points to 18. So we're 2.5 matches into the 3-match test series. Don, a lot of talk here in Perth over the last couple of days about the future of the test series. Where does the International Football Series go from here? Do we continue with the round ball, or do we have to play Australian rules, or what?
I believe there's a real future for the game. There's no question about that. But the question of the ball is vexed. Perhaps what would be the best way would be to play with a round ball when we go to Ireland and the oval ball when the Irish players come here. But certainly there's a great future for the game. It's the only opportunity, Colin, as you know, for players from Ireland and Australia to represent their countries, and I think that's worth pursuing.
Yes, that's one of the things that Terry Danaher said to us earlier on in the series, Don, that, you know, the Australians can never represent their country unless through these international series. But it'll be interesting if someone picks up on your idea that the Irish should come out here and play with an Australian ball, and then the Australians go back. How long do you think it's going to take the Australians to get used to playing with the round ball in Dublin? They're pretty used to it at the moment out here.
They are, yes.
How soon do you think the Irish could adapt to playing with the oval ball here?
Well, that'll be up to Eugene McGee and experts in the game there, but it would be obviously harder. But talking to Robbie O'Malley the other day, the Irish captain, he said, look, I'm expert with the oval ball now. And of course Eugene McGee would be happy to use it as well. But anyway, it's exciting, and we're all behind the international series. It's got a great future.
Okay,
we should promote it.
I think everyone will agree with you. Well, the Irish team have been given an enormous welcome wherever they've been, whether it's been to Melbourne and to Canberra. But here in Perth, it has been something special. So let's now go and see how the Irish team has been received by the Irish here in Western Australia.
Irish watering holes around Perth were choked leading up to the Test match, as everyone with some Irish blood was out to give their beloved football heroes a real welcome. And those proud songs from the land of the green were being bellowed for the first time since St. Pat's Day, as the event was a great reason to celebrate. It was the night before the match, and this colourful character just couldn't wait for the after-match festivities.
Everything is on up here tomorrow night.
So a few freebies coming over the bar.
Definitely.
Is this the way you dress all the time?
Well, sometimes, but especially when a big occasion like this is on.
When the statistics show that 1 out of 3 Perth inhabitants have some Irish blood flowing through their veins, you're guaranteed of coming across an Irishman in any walk of life. That's the case in the ABC radio studios in Perth. Jerry Gannon is the evening announcer on 6WF and decided to put on a dinner party with a difference. Only a select few sat at the table to indulge, but thousands across the state were invited as guests, as this was live radio in the wackiest possible way. So how did the Irish football team react when Gannon offered the invitation?
Well, they said, well, obviously you had to put the food on if you had to get them in, and the Guinness. So once there was food and Guinness on, there was no problem.
So you're lucky the studio's big enough?
Yes, I was actually, yes. It's just right for this kind of thing. It's just about the same size as my own dining room at home. So rather than going home, we decided to have it here.
The executive hours had long gone, but station manager Murray Green was keen to stay around, no doubt casting a watchful eye on these unusual proceedings.
Yes, I've been examining some of the appetizers, and the percentage proof in some of the Irish refreshments caused me some concern, but I'm sure we'll find the exit in terms of getting our guests into the appropriate taxis and on their way.
It was a fully catered 5-course meal, starting with an appetizer. Robert Slowey, from one of Perth's 5-star hotels, was given the honour of delighting the taste buds.
So, Robert, firstly, what are you spraying on, what are you serving here tonight?
Well, I'm serving I'm spraying a little Moselle on it, just to give it a nice, dampish, fresh look. We're serving marinated salmon, which is raw fillet of salmon. It's done in rock salt and sugar. It's got coriander. It's got peppercorn in it, so it's quite a nice dish. You have oyster, and it's on a bed of wild lettuce, and it's got chervil and coriander on the side. And that's served with traditional wheaten bread. So, quite a nice affair.
It's 6:30 to 9. If you've just turned on the radio and you're wondering what on earth is going on, we're gathered around the dinner table here at the studio. We're having dinner. We've got some guests with us.
Australian player Steve Malaxis, more accustomed to Greek cuisine, was quite happy to sample the Irish delights.
It is a lot different than Greek food, but the Irish food's not too bad. They're like roasts and potatoes and all that stuff.
While the Irish legend Jack O'Shea was content to use the team's captain as their alibi.
We're ready for a surprise tonight, and I think he'd send Bobby, our captain, along to give him a pat and myself, so I think we can't step out of line. Whatever. If we see the captain stepping out of line, then we can follow, you know.
So basically you won the Test series, so you may be able to indulge in maybe a Guinness or two this evening? There's plenty in there.
No, it'll only be 1 or 2.
The dinner party lasted 90 minutes as the guests chatted to their heart's content. The clanging of the silverware and the slurping of the beverages were constant tones over the air, as the current role model of slick presentation on radio was thrown out the window for this one time. It was a party in the true sense of the word. And while the party was continuing, the Irish folk at the Irish Club across town were warming to the task by practicing their anthem for the match.
As she wheeled her wheelbarrow for the streets broad and narrow, crying up them poor Aussies and lay them live-ho.
The sounds of Molly Malone all the way from Perth in Western Australia. Down the Irish really have had a Cade meal of 40 out here, haven't they?
Oh, look, they've had a tremendous time over here. And I tell you what, they leave on Monday, but I'll tell you what, a lot of them would rather stay here. They've had a great welcome from the Australians. The two peoples are very much alike, you know.
Yes, indeed, they've had. The Irish, of course, bring their histories and their cultures and their sports everywhere around the world. And, of course, a lot of people will argue to this very day where Australian rules football came from. But what we're going to do is take you back to a little bit of the history of both codes in the sense of Australian rules football and the Irish with their Gaelic football.
The MCG is the mecca of Australian rules and the very birthplace of the game back in the 1850s. The eminent historian Professor Geoffrey Blaney has documented football's history from its formative years in the parklands around the MCG.
In the parkland here, players began to play at least as early as 1858. They weren't allowed on the cricket ground for many years, and indeed, as far as we can tell, they played on a squarish ground with the trees still standing in position, so that if you approached goal, one of the manoeuvres was to duck behind a tree and then come out on the opposite side.
On some accounts, Gaelic football's roots go back to the 14th century, and its evolution has followed the tide of Irish nationalism. Croke Park in Dublin is the home of Gaelic football, a game that has the passionate following of hundreds of thousands. Popular belief has held that Australian rules derive from Gaelic football, but Professor Blaney rejects the theory that Irish immigrants brought the game to the colonies of Australia.
One can trace the history of the game here, and most of the distinctive features of Australian rules, whether the high mark, bouncing the ball while you're running, the oval arena, you can actually see the time when they were invented here, and there's no evidence of any Irish influence.
Others aren't so sure. Jim Main, himself a writer on football history, says Professor Blaney overlooks strong circumstantial evidence.
He says there's no concrete evidence, but I think there is circumstantial evidence. For example, in Gaelic football, there were behind posts used, as in our game, up until 1910. What a remarkable coincidence that two football codes on opposite sides of the world used behind posts, the only codes to do so. Also, one of the founders of Australian football went to Trinity College, Dublin, which just happened to be the very first Gaelic football club. So there is some circumstantial evidence, yes.
Whether Australian rules derive from rugby, soccer, Gaelic football, or a combination of all three is a question that will continue to exercise historical minds. But in modern times, there seems no doubt that Australian rules and Gaelic football are truly sporting cousins, both with fanatical followers.
Yes, it seems they're even closer than cousins. That's a little bit of history on AFL, Australian football rules, and of course Gaelic football. Well, that's a little bit from us up here in the grandstand, but let's now go down to the ground where Gerard Healy has been talking to some of the supporters. Gerard, you have some of the supporters down there. What's their reaction to this game?
Well, Carl, I'll let them answer that for you. I've got Mick. Mick, you're from Perth, and I've got Joe, he's from Ireland, and they're very good mates, but they're not too happy today. They've been fighting in the crowd. Mick, what do you think of the game?
Very good game, mate. Very good.
What do you think of it compared to our game?
A bit sloppy accuracy with the ball's not very good, but other than that, it's quite good.
Yes, well, we've had a bit of trouble over the past 2 weeks with the ball, but it's been a hell of a lot better today. Joe, you'd be a bit worried about the result tonight?
Oh, well, I think Ireland have come good in the second half now, and you know, they need to get the ball a bit more.
Would you like to see this series continue on in the future?
Oh, certainly, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good draw card. I think, you know, I've watched Ireland playing over the years, you know, and when they come out and, you know, Australia got to Ireland. So.
OK, we've had two of the more interesting, more colourful supporters, and I'd just like to say that this guy here hasn't got a pet bear at home, but he is certainly supporting Australia.
Thank you, Gerard. And one of the things which a lot of people won't know, but there was a little bit of sad news, especially for us involved in the coverage of the game this week, because Gerard Healy, one of the great players of Australian football, has decided to retire. And this, we think, is a nice way to show our appreciation for Gerard, because he's been one of the star players in the game in Australia. Our little tribute to Gerard Healy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 1988 Brownlow medal is Gerard Healy.
Do it.
Healy has been sensational, Healy, tonight. Now he hits a low daisy cover, so rip it to Ludius for that. A fifth of that. William Healy runs the half forward, fires a goal, it's coming back, and a beautiful looking kick by Healy. You wouldn't believe it, he's on the end of the hand pass to Healy. Forward, Green. Starts over, Healy, shoots a goal. Pops for another one. Goal. Healy's just got to pick it up. He fires and puts through number 4. Sydney are looking good. Walk goes in after, but he's lost it. Jared Healy, the brilliant Healy. Oh, look at that. Beautiful play by Healy. With the hand pass to Healy. Healy goes long in towards goal. What's the kick going to be like? It's bounced through. Dorothy and Gerard Healy. Gerard Healy for the Swans does it well. Oh, tremendous play by the Swans by Stafford, and he gets the handball over the top to Mitchell. Williams over the ball now for Sydney. Great play to his feet. It's shuffled out the hand pass. Healy from 50 metres. It looks pretty good. It's up the carry with the goal.
Well, our tribute to Gerard Healy, one of the great players of the game, and a tear in our eyes up here. But Gerard, how are you feeling about having to pack up this great game down there on the sideline?
Well, it's one of disappointment, obviously, Colin. I've had a lot of great experiences playing in the game, and I've been very fortunate to be able to play at the top level for 12 years. And I'd just like to send a cheerio to a friend of mine who I have been involved with and has been a legend himself in the game and still is, and that's Ted Whitten. He's been a big part in this series over the time, and he's unfortunately in hospital at the moment, but I believe he's on the getting a hell of a lot better. And Ted, the Australian side is certainly playing tonight the way you'd expect them to, and let's hope they can go on with it later on tonight. Both sides are on the ground now, and I'm sure both coaches have revved them up for a pretty intense second half. It's back to both of the guys in the central commentary position.
Colin, I wanted to also add my tribute to Teddy Whitten. Ted Whitten, in fact, has been the chairman of selectors of the Australian team, and he's unfortunately ill, as Gerard mentioned. All the best, Ted, and we look forward to having you back on deck pretty soon.
Well, the sides are back on the park again, and everything to play for in this. The second half, Australia lead Ireland by 20 points to 18. And right in there's our scoreline: 5 overs and 5 behinds for Australia, 4 overs and 6 behinds for Ireland. 20 points to 18 as we go into the third quarter. The man with the ball in the centre, David Johnson, and I must say, Don, he's handled the game pretty well tonight, coming in, the 32-year-old from Perth, to take over alongside Paddy Collins.
Yes, he has. Not being used to the game, he's done pretty well. And exciting third quarter coming up now with Australia leading by 2 points. Up they go. Grimley knocks the ball down, and the ball is kicked off the ground by Dean Anderson of Australia. And a pretty hectic passage of play there in the first few seconds. But the resultant free kick will go Australia's way, to be taken by one of their best players in the game, Peter Dean, who kicks it down to their half-forward line. And the infringement again against Ireland to be taken here by Terry Danaher. Danaher, a short pass into Millen Hanna. And now Colin Millen Hanna has a chance. He's within range of goal. And an over here at least could be very handy in the early part of this third quarter to the Aussies.
Yes, indeed, and Millen Hanna has been practicing kicking the ball around like that, coming around the corner, but that's not a very good one for Millen Hanna. He has been practicing out in front of our hotel this morning and yesterday here at the WACA ground, but the ball cleared by the Irish, but it's Paul Salmon takes it down for them to the number 19, John Gastev. Gastev finds another available Australian pair of hands, and it's gone right through to Tony McGuinness. McGuinness shows his skill at Gaelic football, hand to toe as they would normally do at Croke Park in Dublin. A long clearance from a long kick from him, puts the ball in, and that's Jose Ramiro on the park, and Jose Ramiro takes a little bump in the back. Delighted to see Jose Ramiro on the park, Don, and he takes a little bump in the back and knocked to the ground, but he's going to get up, he's going to be all right, and he's going to take this free right in front, and the little man from North Melbourne, can he stick it over the bar for? Yes, he can. He sticks it over and gives Australia another 3 points. So it's nice to see Ramiro wearing the number 7 from North Melbourne. He's 19 years of age, 5'10". Ireland clear the ball out onto the far side of the field, taken down by the big defenders over there, and they're going to clear the ball, set up an Irish attack. Pat O'Byrne sends it up, a long ball up to the middle, and it's knocked down by the Australians, and they come away with it. over to this side of the park to O'Donnell. O'Donnell puts it even further down this side. Martin Gavigan goes after it and allows it to run out over the sideline. Clearance up to Jack O'Shea. Jack O'Shea inside to Kevin O'Brien. Kevin O'Brien tries to hand pass it, but a good intercept by O'Donnell, and O'Donnell brings it away here to Peter Dean. Peter Dean up ahead of him has McGuinness. McGuinness runs off the ball to Malaxos, the man we talked to earlier on in the first quarter. Malaxos, a long right-footed kick over to the far side. Out there going for it, and that's Brett Stevens and Big Jim Steins chasing for it, but Dean Anderson has it onto his right foot. He pulls it back, but maybe a bit back too far, and Val Daly takes the mark. Melon Hanna has a look around his neck. Maybe he's going to buy him a necklace for Christmas, but it's a long clearance, left-footed by Val Daly. The mark taken by Paul Salmon, right in the middle, Don, and a lot of things happening out there at the moment.
Yeah, sure are. I'm glad we're here, Colin. It's pretty tough out there. In towards Val Daly, can't pull the mark in. Opportunity here for Scullion. Scullion to big Pat O'Byrne, and the ball is taken away here by the dashing goalkeeper, Pat Comer, and a big kick by Comer, wide to the flank on the outer side, but over the line. And the kick will be taken here by Danny Frawley, the Australian vice-captain in the QBE Insurance Cup. It's 23-18, Australia in front at the moment. There's Jack O'Shea, got a bit of a bump behind the play, but play on. Now the ball is picked up here by Val Daly. He's been a good contributor for Ireland, and he gets a handball going, and it eventually comes to Jimmy Steins. And there's O'Shea again, getting the ball from Steins. Ireland deep into attack. Up they go. The Australian defence standing firm. And here's Worsfold coming out, giving it across to Ross Smith and across to Peter Dean, who's played a magnificent game in defence for Australia, in towards the centre of the ground. And in the centre, the mark is taken for Ireland by that tough vice-captain from the Ireland team, Martin Gavigan. He plays it wide to the wing on the outer side. And a kick forward here for Ireland is taken by Robbie O'Malley, the captain. Running and asking for the ball is Bernard Flynn. Not able to get it. Picked up here by Michael Fegan. And across to Flynn. And Flynn gives it back to Fegan. Oh, good play, but only 1 point.
Yes, Ireland will have to do a little bit better than that, Don. They trail by 23 points to 18 at the moment. And the umpire is waving a flag. He has disallowed that point, and instead Paddy Collins is awarding a free kick into Ireland. So it's 23 points to 19. Tony McGuinness getting a lecture from Paddy Collins, and it's a free kick in. Danny Frawley doesn't like the attention of Jack O'Shea or whatever Jacko is saying to him. And I'm not a good man for lip reading. There's trouble there between Jim Steins and Paul Salmon. No quarter after given in this battle, Don, as we go midway into the third quarter. There's a lot of pushing and pulling around the place, and Paddy Collins is going over there to sort it out. And there's one of the Australians having a go at pulling at Bernie Flynn's jersey. And that's gone straight over the bar, the free taken for Ireland, but too much of man-marking attention being given at the moment by the Australians. The score, Ireland are now trailing by 23 points to 21.
Well, a bit of manhandling there from the Ireland team, and what's going to happen? Is it a free kick? Yes, it is. And Millen Hanna letting Val Daly know that he didn't appreciate the attention that he gave to the little man Michael Mitchell, or rather Johnny Gastev on the centre wing. And O'Shea now giving Millen Hanna a bit of a push and shove behind the play as the ball is kicked by Gastev, putting Australia into attack. Up as Terry Danaher, can't pull the mark in. Dean Anderson it is. Beautiful play, and 3 points to Australia.
Yes, there's a lot of niggling going on out there at the moment into this third quarter with the man marking, but that's, as you said, Don, a good strike and a good kick by Dean Anderson, and the ball going over the bar for another over for Australia. The ball cleared out to this side to Big Jim Steins. Steins can outplay the big man Paul Salmon. One of the Irish got a belt in the back, and that was Bernie Flynn. The ball in the meantime comes down to Tony McGuinness. McGuinness, a long ball into the middle. Pat Byrne going up through with Brett Stevens. The ball comes back down to Jose Ramiro, and that one goes for a behind. Another point to Australia.
Things are certainly hotting up now. Players from both sides going in extremely hard, and no quarter given. Jack O'Shea, a beautiful knockdown to the big man running along the half-forward line, and that is Plunkett in towards the pocket, and there's Kevin O'Brien, Is it Kevin O'Brien? No,
yes,
it's not.
It is Kevin O'Brien.
Yes, it
Don.
is.
Yes, you were right.
He's the boy who played so well in Albury in the warm-up match. And there's his kick, and there's a quick reply to that three-pointer by Australia. 3 points to Ireland with an over there from Kevin O'Brien. What a game. 27 points to 24. 3 points in it. As the long clearance comes down. A good mark there in the middle by Big Jim Stein. Stein sends the Irish attacking again. Campbell up there, and Campbell was out from his goal as Mark Grimley tried to get at it. The Australians take it out of defence. Gary O'Donnell, Jack O'Shea, they're all tussling for it, but it's an Irish free as the ball was pushed out over the line by an Australian. The Australian, Brett Stevens. It's Ross Smith, in actual fact, putting his hands up. Tried to mark Jack O'Shea's free. Jack O'Shea puts the ball into little Bernie Flynn. Bernie Flynn bundled on the ground by John Worsfold and John Gastiff. He can't get up. They're still falling all over him. And eventually he gets up. John Worsfold, and paying too much attention to Bernie Flynn. Paddy Collins is there. But you won't put little Bernie Flynn off like that. He puts it high. He puts it over to the far side. They're going to rise for it. It's going to fall loose. It falls loose to Gary O'Donnell. O'Donnell to Campbell, the goalkeeper. Campbell pushes it to McGuinness. McGuinness up ahead to the other defenders, and they take it out. This side to John Gastiff. Gastiff right-footed. Down, knocked down by Martin Gavigan. Runs loose to Hannah. Hannah with a long kick up into the middle. Let's go down to the sideline to Gerard Healy. Gerard, your impressions of the third quarter?
Well, it's been pretty exciting and fairly tough. There's a lot of heavy work going on behind the play, but I've been trying to get in touch with a few of the Irish. They've been pretty chirpy for 3 weeks now, but all of a sudden they've lost their tongues. And I've just asked John Grimley for a word, and he gave me a look that frightened me enough to suggested I was going to certainly take not no for an answer.
Well, don't argue with him. He's too big, Gerard. And the ball is out on the centre wing on the outer side, and it's 27 to 24. Australia leading by 3 points. And it's Ireland about to come into attack again. And Jack O'Shea, as he has been in the earlier two tests, is all over the place. And a beautiful kick by O'Shea. Ireland deep into attack. Grimley was up high. Can't pull it in. Kevin O'Brien knocks it back. And Grimley knocks it through. It rebounds off the post. And then it goes back in for a behind. And a point to Ireland, who came forward and rampaged down the ground for a point.
Yes, indeed, and of course the Grimley brothers have a handy knack of getting goals, Don, as we saw in Canberra last week, and they nearly had another one there. The ball cleared out into the centre. A lot of hands going up for it. It comes down to the number 14. Then it comes to Malaxas. Malaxas, I think, with his feet out over the sideline into Gastev. Gastev has a man running on for him, and that ball cleared into the Irish half. And they're losing it, and as Hannah gets it, Hannah has Danaher available, but Hannah instead sticks it onto his left foot, and he's put it over for another 3 points. So the Australians creep away with another good left-footed kick by Milan Hannah, and the Irish fighting back, but not fighting close enough. There's Tony McGuinness going in, and Bobby O'Malley holds onto the ball, the Irish skipper. Kicks it right-footed. Who has he got running for him? He's got the number 29. That's Alan Mulholland. And because he was tackled afterwards by Brett Stevens, and he's going to continue to run while Brett Stevens is niggling at him. Alan Mulholland from County Galway kicks it right-footed up to this side of the park where Jack O'Shea is waiting for it. Jack O'Shea moves one way, runs away from Ross Smith, pushes it in. The ball boxed down. No Irishman running for it. Yes, there is. Big Jim Steins, but Michael Mitchell picks it up, runs away with it. He's having a great game tonight. He's finding two men loose out on the far side. One of them is the skipper, Terry Danaher. Danaher boxes it back in. Mitchell's running all over the park. He's covered every blade of grass in the place tonight. And the ball down into the Irish defence. And the Irish defence will have to do something as Brett Stevens gets it. Brett Stevens from that narrow angle. What can he do with it? He's put it over. That's a very good score for Brett Stevens. He's put it over for another 3 points for Australia. So Australia moved to 33 points. Ireland 25, Don.
Well, the Australians playing extremely well. This is the best they've played, but there's the man again, Jack O'Shea. He's at everything for Ireland, and he gets a handball across to the running Mark Plunkett, and Plunkett a kick in towards goal for Ireland. And it's another 3-pointer. What an exciting game.
Yes, it's end-to-end stuff, right from one end of the ground to the other. No, as I said earlier on, no quarter after giving. The niggles have stopped. and the ball back down into the centre of the field, picked up by Brett Stevens. No, it's Jose Ramiro. Ramiro finds Michael Mitchell again inside him. Mitchell races into the Irish goal with it, blocked down. Hannon gets it. Hannon picks it up. Can he turn left-footed? He's got a man available, but instead he takes the shot with his left foot, and the ball goes for a point. Let's go down onto the sideline where Gerard Healy has big Paul Salmon with him.
Thanks, Colin. Yes, I've got champion ruckman Paul Salmon with me. Paul, it's a different Australian side tonight.
Yeah, so a lot more committed. The guys have really don't want to lose the series 3-0, so they're desperate.
Well, the desperation appears to be taking its toll on a few of the Irishmen. They appear a hell of a lot more nervous tonight.
Well, I think we've committed ourselves better tonight, Gerard, and that's obvious, and I just hope we can really keep that commitment up to one another for the rest of the night now.
Essendon champion Paul Salmon.
Thank you, Gerard Healy. Down on the sidelines there. Australia in front at the moment, 34-28. They come into attack again. Mullen Hanna doing battle there with the Ireland player running at him. That's Scullion, Tony Scullion. And the ball is over the line. And the free kick goes Ireland's way because Hanna was the player, in fact, who took the ball over the boundary line. An exciting game. And the ball up and down the ground with great rapidity in this match. And nothing between these two great teams. Ireland, of course, have won the series, having won in Melbourne and in Canberra. And Australia playing the best they've played in the series so far. Up goes O'Shea, knocks the ball down, and over the line it goes. And the free kick is going to go Australia's way, to be taken here by Tony McGuinness. And he's been one of the very good players for Australia tonight, along with the mercurial Michael Mitchell from the Richmond team, as we see McGuinness get it across to Ross Smith, the North Melbourne defender, who kicks it in towards full forward. Brett Stevens is there. The ball knocked away. Coming in as Jose Ramiro. Is tackled. Has to get rid of the ball quickly. It's in front of the Australian goal. Here's that man again. Michael Mitchell not able to do anything with it. The ball is kicked away defensively by Ireland. And over the line it goes. And Michael Mitchell, in fact, will take the free. Mitchell in a hurry to move the ball. He's on the half-forward line for the Australian team. They lead 34-28. Halfway through the third quarter. Kicking it diagonally across the ground. Poor piece of play by Mitchell. And the ball is taken here by O'Shea. And a big 45-metre kick puts Ireland deep into attack. Down there, it's the big fellow coming out grimly. He's tackled, has to get rid of the ball quickly. And it's Plunkett in there as well. Ireland battling hard. Mulholland is there. Tackled, has to get rid of it quickly. But he's going to get a free. It's going the other way. I thought it might have been a free to Mulholland for being pulled around the ankles.
No, I think he was holding the ball too long, Don. That's why Paddy Collins ruled against him.
A good decision there by Paddy Collins. And Danny Frawley now, the Australian vice-captain, swinging play with his kick to the Australian half-forward line. And here's big Jimmy Steins handballing it away and then getting it back again from the centre of the ground. A couple of bounces by Jimmy Steins, and he puts Ireland deep into attack again. Australia under pressure. Peter Dean knocking the ball away, and he gets it across to Johnny Gastev. And Gastev gets a handball back to Worsfold, the West Coast Eagles player. And Worsfold steadies and kicks the ball back in towards the centre wing, up to Stuart Lowe. And here's that mercurial running player, Michael Mitchell. Gee, he's got great skills, Mitchell. He's played well. He's at half forward, and he kicks it in towards the full forward line. And the ball is taken here by the goalkeeper, Comer. Tackled there by Hanna. Comer getting it downfield for the Ireland team. Picked up over there by Curran, and he gets it into Jack O'Shea, who tangles behind the play with Terry Danaher. But they're good mates, I think. Out on the centre wing, and it's Robbie O'Malley. Look at O'Malley go, the captain of the Ireland team, into his vice-captain, Martin Gavigan. Gavigan, a long kick in towards Grimley, and out of bounds it goes, and another exciting passage of play.
Yes, indeed, Don. And meanwhile, Bobby O'Malley and Ross Stevens don't seem to like each other at all out there. And things going to be cooled down by the umpire. Ball, meanwhile, into the Australians. And this is Dean Anderson, the number 13, running with it. Then shows a little bit of Gaelic football skill by bouncing it off his boot. Then puts it up in the air, but that's screwed a long way across. And big Jim Steins, the man from North Melbourne, playing with Ireland because he was born in Dublin, kicks a long ball up into the middle of the park where it's taken down. Ross Stevens, and I've been impressed with this number 14 tonight. Stevens, a long ball into the middle again, but the Irish defence, Paul Kern, comes away with it, right foots it, clears it up, and the little Dublin man is going to find another one from Kerry inside Jack O'Shea. Jack O'Shea puts the ball across. This is Mark Plunkett from Offaly, and Mark Plunkett is being robbed by 2 or 3 of the Australians. They push the ball on the ground and they box it away and they get it away. It's Tony McGuinness. McGuinness down this side of the field to Anderson. Anderson wearing the number 13, right-footed across the park as Australia start to build up another attack. Let's go down to the sideline and Gerard Healy.
Thanks, Colin. Well, we've had scenes reminiscent of 1986 with officials from the Irish side running onto the ground in response to what looked like was going to be a fairly ugly scene. Fortunately for the game, these things have settled down, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some fairly ugly scenes very shortly.
Well, there's no place for officials, Gerard, to be running onto any playing arena. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, that's exactly right, Don. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Leave it for the players to settle it out in the ground, and that's where it should happen if it's going to at all.
Well, now here's Michael Mitchell, who's played a great game, and that's a great shot in towards goal, and he's kicked a three-pointer. Magnificent goal from a very acute angle, not a goal, rather, and over 3 points to Australia. And in the third term, we move to the 15-minute mark, and it's 37-28. Australia in front, and the ball back in play. The mark is taken in the centre of the ground here for Ireland by Mulholland, and he takes his time as he looks for options downfield to try and get the ball into the Ireland attacking zone. There's his kick, swinging the ball into the Ireland half-forward line. Up they go, knocked away defensively by Crawley, picked up by Kevin O'Brien, a handball across to Grimley. Grimley steadies, kicks, offline, and a point to the big fellow Grimley. And Australia under pressure there now as Campbell, the goalkeeper, puts the ball back into play. Beautiful kick into the centre. It's all Ireland here. No, it's not. Mitchell getting up, knocks the ball down. Now the ball is taken here by that dashing player coming down the ground. It's Michael Fegan, and he gets it across to Mulholland. Mulholland at half forward under pressure into the Ireland full forward zone. Taken here defensively by Dean of Australia. A handball to Johnny Gastev. Gastev at half forward, swinging the ball back for Australia towards Danaher. Bumped out of the road there by the Ireland vice-captain Gavigan, and he'll be penalised, Colin. Australia leading 37-28.
Yes, indeed. Terry Danaher kicks it across this side, and waiting there for it is Dean Anderson, and Anderson kicks it again, but this one is going to be saved by the goalkeeper, Comer, but that was a bad mistake by him because the ball run loose to Hannah. Hannah's trying to get it onto his right foot. He does, but the Irish defensor back there, Tony Scullion, comes away with it, or is it Pat O'Byrne? Pat O'Byrne, and he tries to get it out to this side of the field where Steins is there, and Steins has gone out over the sideline, runs into McGuinness at the same time, and that's going to be a free to Australia. A sideline free to Tony McGuinness, and the Australian side lead by 37 points to 29. Tony McGuinness with his left foot wants Al Daly a little bit further back from him. McGuinness puts it high in the air. He's trying to find Paul Salmon back in the action again, and Salmon makes a very good mark despite the close attendance of Jim Steins over there. And you can see Brett Stevens, I think, wants to fight Mike Tyson. He wants to throw punches at everyone and anyone out there at the moment.
That's Jose Ramiro.
That's Jose Ramiro, but the man who was earlier involved was Brett Stevens, and he suddenly gets involved and then runs out of the way. Meanwhile, Paul Salmon with number 31 on his back, he's going to take this mark for Australia. Let's see what big Paul Salmon can do with it. He kicks it, and it's gone for an over, or it's gone for a behind. It's gone for a behind, so another point to the Australian scorecard.
Well, now the ball back in play again, and a pretty aggressive game. Both sides going in extremely hard, but it's been a great crowd pleaser. There's the Australian skipper, Terry Danaher. Terry Danaher playing it down towards Millen Hanna on the half-forward line, and Millen Hanna getting it back to Ross Smith. Across towards half-forward, and the mark here is taken by the big fish, Paul Salmon. And Salmon will have a shot for goal. We'll be going to Gerard Healy in a moment, talking to Stuart Lowe. We'll wait for this kick. A very important kick coming up for Australia from big Paul Salmon, the tallest player in the game, and he'd be 45 metres from goal. Long kick, not long enough. Over here it's Stevens coming in, and he gets the ball in the pocket, kicks it back, but it's going to be a free kick. Now we'll go to Gerard Healy. He's talking to Stuart Lowe.
Thanks, Don. I've got big Stewie Lowe here. It's Stewie, I notice you're wearing the mittens on the hands. Do you think we could see you wearing them next year in the AFL?
I don't know about that, Gerard. I think I've taken about 4 marks for the series, so I thought I'd try something new, but marking the oval ball's a bit easier.
Well, the siren's just gone down here, Don, and I'll pass it back to you now with Colin.
Thank you, Gerard Healy, down on centre field. Three-quarter time here. Australia leading. They're a total of 38, leading Ireland 29. Three-quarter time at the WACA in Perth. And you can see 11 overs there for Australia, 7 behinds, and Ireland 7-8, 38-29. Colin, it's still anybody's game, and It's been a pretty hard game, but it's been played in very good spirit.
Yes, it was pretty tough in that third quarter, and the Irish were, I think, a little disadvantaged because they were trying to completely control the game through their skill, and the hard tackling of the Australians upset them a little bit. So there we are. We reached the third quarter here at the beautiful stadium in Perth with the score in this third test match at Australia 38, Ireland 29. Welcome back to the WACA at the three-quarter stage in this third test match, with Australia leading by 38 points to 29. And Gerard Healy is now down on centre field with the most important people of all here tonight, all those umpires, Gerard.
That's right, Colin. I've always wondered what umpires do talk about at half-time, but I've got a pretty interesting question as regards to AFL football. Fellas, there's always talk about the one umpire versus the two umpire system. Gil, what do you think on today's performance?
On today's performance, I think the two umpire system is definitely needed. They position themselves much better, and in the right position to see the obvious free kicks.
Well, it's always been a bit of a moot point. Ron Barassi, one of the champions of AFL football, has always said that two umpires is required. Do you believe in your experience there has been times when there's definitely been two umpires required?
In the local game, I'd say no, but here tonight, yes, you do. But the only problem I've had, or what I've noticed, is that when the ball is near the point post, you've got to race back to the goal post to get yours, where your mate is standing still. That's about the only part where it's a problem. But apart from that, yes, you do need two in the Irish game.
And if you had to give 3 votes right now, who would you give them to?
Well, I'd probably notice the Australian players more because I know them, and I'd say Michael Mitchell, mate.
Well, I've always wondered what the umpires do talk about. We still haven't found that out, but at least I can say I'm a lot closer to being an umpire's friend than I have been in the past.
Okay, Gerard, thank you very much indeed, and also thank the umpires down there. Thank you very much indeed. Meanwhile, there's a shot of some of the big spectators around the ground here.
Aren't they happy too, the Australians?
Well, they don't look too happy, Don. You know, they were showing us a couple of shots of some Irish people earlier on with glum faces. I don't think there's any sad faces for the Irish out there. They've got another 20-minute period to make up the deficit. Australia lead 38 points to 29, and there's the pack stand here at the WACA as Paddy Collins gets ready to start the final quarter of this 3-test series, and away they go. The ball bounces in the middle of the park. Dean Anderson picks it up for Australia. A long ball, a great mark again by Mark Mitchell, and definitely what Gerard was saying, this man definitely has played an outstanding part for Australia tonight. Michael Mitchell, a long ball up into the attack. Ramiro tries to get under it, but it's Martin Gavigan pushes it down. The Irish taking it out of defence, and they'll clear it, but not a good clearance because it falls down to Gavin Brown, back into the fray of the action for the Australians. Takes a quick free kick, tackle from behind. Bobby O'Malley and Brett Stevens, as I said, they'll certainly not be related to each other, Don. They're having a hell of a battle out there, and that's the only way to describe it. Punches, arms, elbows and everything going into the battle between the two of them.
Well, they're both pretty tough boys. I think Robbie O'Malley can look after himself, and so can Brett Stevens. And there's the kick now, putting Ireland into attack in the first minute of play in the last quarter. And the ball is knocked down here, taken here by Gastev. And Gastev gets it across to Dean Anderson. And Anderson driving Australia deep into attack. Down here it's Michael Mitchell, who's been a great player for Australia. Kicked away by Fegan. And it comes back along the boundary line. And it'll be a kick to Australia on the half-forward line here to be taken by Jose Ramiro, the little North Melbourne Rover. And Australia deep into attack here. Ramiro coming in, kicking it in towards the goals for Australia. Big Salmon is up, knocks it down. The ball is knocked away by Big Pat O'Byrne. Now what's happening here? The kick is
going to be a free kick to Ireland because you're not allowed to tackle the goalkeeper inside that 6-yard area, Don.
Right, well, he picks up the ball, and of course we can use other balls here. You don't have to use the one that kicked a minute ago. And the ball is back in the centre now. Look at Ireland coming down the ground on the strength of Big Grimley. Grimley into Steins. Can he mark it? He knocks it onto O'Shea. O'Shea to Kevin O'Brien. He's tackled. Australia under pressure. Gastev has to handball it away. Taken here by Gary O'Donnell. Well shepherded by Danny Frawley, and Steins and Frawley behind the play, having a bit of a two-out duel. In the meantime, the ball is down the field behind the play. It's really on Steins and Frawley, and other players coming in to break them up. In the meantime, Curran has it, and he gives it across to Big Pat O'Byrne. O'Byrne now bringing the ball back. for Ireland into the centre. Up is Plunkett. The ball on the ground. Taken over there for Ireland by Mulholland. His kick is smothered. Picked up here by Gary O'Donnell. O'Donnell steady in the crisis to Tony McGuinness, one of the great running players on the Australian team. Let's go to Gerard Healy on the sideline.
Yes, I've got assistant team manager Mark Kleiman here, Don. And Mark, can you just tell us what David Parkin had to say at three-quarter time?
I just told the boys to keep working hard, Jerry. You know, they've worked hard for 3 quarters. The commitment's been there tonight, and it's been a really good effort.
And there's another point they've just kicked, which is going to help them. Do you think they can do it, Mark?
Bloody oath we can do it. It's about time we had a win.
Thanks very much. Mark Kleiman, assistant manager of the Australian team.
Typical Australian comment there from that young fellow, and the ball is back in play. Everyone getting excited here, Colin, on the scoreboard now, with Australia in front 39-29, a 10-point advantage, taken here by Ross Smith. Ross Smith, a slick handball, not good. He tried to get it to McGuinness. This is Val Daly. Daly now opening a play for Ireland, getting it down towards Mark Plunkett. The ball is taken here at half forward by Jimmy Steins. Steins in towards Kevin O'Brien, but it's not well directed to O'Brien, and this allows the ball to be easily taken by the Australian goalkeeper Campbell, who plays it wide to Dean Anderson, number 13. Good mark, Dean Anderson.
Yes, he's certainly come into his own in the last half of the game, Dean Anderson, and made a couple of very vital marks and broke up a lot of the Irish attacks as well. Good mark taken by the Irish up there. They find Jack O'Shea. Jacko allows the ball to bounce in front of him. He kicks it right-footed, starts another Irish attack in towards the goal. They're going in after it. Matthew Campbell is a big man. He stops and stares and takes the ball away from Kevin O'Brien as he charged in. The ball cleared out on this side of the field. Gavin Brown back there. Gavin Brown into Michael Mitchell, or no, it's John Gastev, and Gastev clears the ball up to Terry Danaher. Terry Danaher to Ross Smith. Long kick from Ross Smith from the halfway line, dropping right into the Irish goal area. Cleared out. They're tussling for it. They're rustling for it. This is Ross Stevens. Bad clearance from him, but the ball still is in play. But back there goes Michael Fagan. Spike Fagan thrown to the ground, wrestled to the ground. The ball comes loose to Hannah. Hannah's kick is charged down. He's pulling someone else's jersey. The ball running loose, and Paddy Collins doesn't want to know any more about that. The nonsense that's going on over there between Tony Plunkett and Mel Hannah. I think it is. No, it's not. It's Tony Scullion and Hannah. And he decides it's going to be a free to Ireland. Someone has kicked the